Guys for having our team here and having some representation from our ball club. I want to say just thank you to the media for putting on this day. I think it's a great way to promote high school football, and it's a great way to promote all the people in our area and our community. And high school football is obviously a special time each year, and football is such a game that brings communities together and people together. And this really showcases the teams and players and coaches in our area and gets people some insight as to what they're going to get to see. And I think that's the exciting thing about going into any new year is that there's a lot of unknown. And everybody always has some natural excitement to the beginning of the football season of what their team's going to be about, what their school colors are going to bring to the gridiron each Friday night. And every new year offers a great thing called hope. Hope for a good season, hope for exciting times, hope for great relationships with your teammates, hope for good times in the stands and school spirit. And so we're excited about this opportunity. We want to say, first of all, thank you to you guys for promoting this event and promoting all the schools in our area. Okay. Today, the young men that are with me are all four gentlemen from our team leadership council. And so our leadership council comprises of 8 players, some from each class of the football team. But these are 4 senior players from our leadership council. To my far left is Matthew Caldwell. Matthew's a quarterback for us. Started half of the season last year and is back returning to play for our football team. Noah Warren is a safety. He's been offered by the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga as a great player, as a 2-year starter. Really dynamic football player that does a lot of good things on the field. To my first right is Anthony Espinal. Anthony is a defensive lineman, started for us last year in the front, and returns to anchor a group of guys that I think has a chance to be really, really good inside. And then to my far right is Bernard Thomas. Bernard's a linebacker for us. Bernard's going to be on about every special team that we have this year, and he's a true warrior. He's a workhorse and a guy that loves to compete and loves to work every day. So we're excited to have these 4 guys here. They're class gentlemen, and they're guys that represent everything that our program is about. That's a good person. That's a good student. That is somebody that's going to represent our program with character on and off the field. And that's somebody that can also perform on the field. So our program, every year, everybody will ask this question, what do you want to get out of your team? And our answer is always the same. We want our players to leave with a great experience playing football. And we want to maximize our team ability level. And to do that, you got to have guys in your team that have habits of excellence in lots of parts of their lives, because our habits all line up. All right, so we want to have a plan for a young player's life and everything. That's how they are involved in our community. That's how we develop them as young men. That's how we help them achieve to their level of standard in the classroom. That's how they perform on the field. And we always say that all these things, if the player's life was a Venn diagram, they'd all cross over, and what you see in the middle is going to be the ultimate performance. And we don't want any area to suffer, because we want them to be the best total player they can be and to be the best total team we can be. All right, and so this year it's no different. We want our players to have a great experience. We want to grow as people. All right, and then we want to be the best team we can be with the players that we have. And our goal is to win a state championship, because I think we have really good football players, and I think we can compete at the highest level. And so we're excited about football. We're excited about the opportunity to start. And I guess now we're going to open up for questions. No questions? Good. Let's go. Okay.
All right, Coach, we all know this is a unique year with this COVID. No spring practice, I assume. Can you hear me, Coach?
Who's answering the question? Okay, gotcha.
This is a unique year with the COVID. No spring practice, I assume. How many seniors do you have coming back? And obviously, if you have a lot of seniors coming back, the job might be just a little bit easier to get them rolling back,
right.
Get ready for football again.
That's one thing we've talked about, that we think that we have a little bit of advantage this season. We do have several guys returned that played last year. We have 15 returning starters from last year's football team. We do understand that every team is different, so it doesn't matter if you have a lot of guys back or not. What's going to matter is how we gel together, what kind of team chemistry we have, how we play together. Because you've seen a lot of talented football teams underperform, so I think it helps to have guys that play, but the process of being the team is always going to be the same. Not having spring practice, I think, is a little bit of a deterrent, but it's the same for us. It's not like anybody has a competitive advantage. Nobody had spring practice. For us, the big thing is it kind of takes away that evaluation period for a lot of younger players. So, at Auburn High School, our ninth graders are not with our school, right? So our big evaluation time is in the spring for those guys. So they're going to make up almost half of our roster, all right? So you asked about numbers. Right now in the summer, we have 145 players, 10 through 12. We have 47 seniors. And then about 60 of those kids are going to be sophomores. 65 kids will be sophomores on the roster. So without that spring evaluation period, it's really hard to tell where all your players are going to come from, and a lot of depth players at certain positions, because as much as you try to emulate football and practice and work out in the summer, it's just not the same. There's no way you can replicate that until you have live for real practice and teaching kids expectations of practice and how it's really going to run. So the preseason part of our team is going to be really critical this year.
Adam, you mentioned how, unpredictable this offseason's been. How happy have you been with how your guys have handled it, and what are the lessons you want them to take away from the things they've had to deal with this offseason?
Well, first of all, when the pandemic hit, our first thing was we wanted to create a platform for, first of all, just communication. We were actually on spring break when this all started, so we never had an end meeting with them. It was never, hey guys, can't work, school's being postponed and we're going to do this. There was none of that, So, and then like I said, we had not even really had the contact with the upcoming 10th graders involved with our roster yet. So the first thing we had to do was create an online platform to get everybody involved. And then once we did that, what we tried to do was recreate April and May virtually. And that's with workouts, with meetings, through skill development, whatnot. So there was a lot of online teaching, a lot of online meetings. There was a lot of videos by coaches on things they could do at home on their own. And our message was basically that every opportunity or every situation provides an opportunity for growth, okay? And most of these kids, the great thing about the school day is that it provides structure and constant accountability. They have their teachers for 8 hours a day, they have their coaches, and then they go home. So there's accountability lined up throughout the entire day. When you take that away, that's really not present. They're becoming more, they have to be self-sufficient, right? So for us, it was an opportunity to grow in self-discipline, that guys were going to get better or worse during that period of time, whether they wanted to or not, and they were going to create new habits. So, and it was going to be evident when you came back who created good habits, who created bad habits, and we've seen that some just through our workouts, so it was the opportunity to create better life habits, to be more self-disciplined as a player, to take more responsibility, to work on your own without a coach, teacher, or somebody pushing you. And I thought for the most part our guys did that. Now, obviously, you have a lot of young people, so young people make young decisions too, and you deal with that. But I think that comes from our players have been fortunate enough to have enough success over the past couple of seasons that they're hungry for more success. And I think they understand there's a price to be paid with that. So I was really pleased with a lot of guys that we have returning and guys that want to get involved and kind of how they handle it on their own. It's a lot to ask for a teenager, and it's a lot to ask. And I read a study the other day that said that in a male, the human brain is not completely formed to your 25 years old. So it was to me, it's a great opportunity for growth in a lot of areas and challenge them in ways that have not been challenged before. So.
Question for Matthew, as a quarterback, you've had to do this kind of on your own, not be around your teammates so much. What have you done to stay sharp and be ready for the next season?
Well, staying sharp was the easy part because we had all our meetings and we were always studying the playbook. And our film from last year, we studied that a lot. So it was pretty easy staying sharp. Just working out on your own was the biggest thing we did. We had our workouts given to us by our coaching staff, so it was pretty easy to stay sharp, and that's about it for that.
And then I have one for you also as well, Matthew. You played in a lot of big games last season, coming back again, playing at quarterback. How much more confident do you feel, even though COVID might have been a damper to spring practice, how confident do you feel leading this team?
I think we all feel really confident, all the seniors returning, because we know what we're capable of, we know what we're capable of doing, and so I think that really gives us a really good feeling about ourselves and what we can do this year.
And then for you, Coach Weingarten, I do have another question for you as well. Aaron Diggs, he was a big workhorse on your offense last year, but, you know, just getting a more look at your depth, how much depth do you have at running back, and what is that team going to bring to the table?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and obviously, Aaron, once he took over that role, he was probably 80% of our offense, so we have a lot of skill guys returning. We have all the running backs that backed Aaron up that started the year. They all return, Killian Massey and Tristan Pittman, and George Wright ended up playing some at H-back, and he's back. And then we're looking at maybe a few defensive guys on that side too at the tailback position. So all those guys come back. There's a lot of receivers back from last year's team. So there's guys that have played, but there's nobody that's had to really tote the load or be the guy, so to speak, to make big-time plays all the time. So. But the bottom line is that, all we want for every player is just to be the best they can be. And I think if they all do that, they can make up for that production and create more production as a team in their own ways. So we just got to, sometimes your best offense is make sure a certain player gets it a lot of times, and sometimes the best offense is spreading the ball around. So that's the purpose of it. And we play team football, and we don't ever put the whole game on one person's shoulders, but you're right that the running back position will be a key position for our team. Anybody that touches the ball is the most important player. The ball is the game.
Coach Weingarten, it's no secret that you guys play in one of the toughest regions in the state of Alabama, but you have a lot of people coming back. You have the majority of your starters coming back. How important is that experience how important is that experience, I should say, going to factor into how you guys play this year?
I think it's really key because they understand that the level of speed and competition and what it's really going to be like. You can't match. You can as much as you can, but the adaptation of the game and playing on the lights is a totally different ball game. So, typically if you have an inexperienced team, you're trying to create as many of those opportunities as you can in the summer and the spring, through your competition periods, through situational football practice, through high-level 7-on-7 tournaments, through OTAs when you're bringing in teams to compete, to try to put them in those game situations, right? And so you can at least test them a little bit, because the biggest thing with young players is how can they transfer knowledge from group period meetings, whatnot, onto actual 11-on-11 playing? Because when you get out there and it's for real competition, the great players can apply knowledge quickly and execute, right? And so you never really know that until you put them in those situations, So having guys back that we have seen kind of go through that is probably a big plus for us based on this current pandemic, right? If we had a team that we had very few players that have played, there would be an extreme amount of unknowns, because they have their first time of really being through that would probably be really week one. So it would be a major growing process.
A question for each of the players, so you guys can just take turns. But with this offseason and everything you guys have faced, what are some lessons that you guys have pulled from it? Not so much about football, but just life and the things that you've kind of learned through this whole process.
One lesson I think that we as players and just we as people have learned throughout this pandemic is that, don't take for granted, what life throws at you, and, all these things that we've been blessed with, and, all the things that are given to us, like going to football games, March Madness got canceled, just sports in general. So just making ourselves available as possible, so when it comes down to it being taken away from you, you can always have it and cherish it. So I think that we should just take it all in and not take it for granted.
I think that one thing that we could all take away from just everything that's happened is that you can make opportunities out of anything that God gives your way, and I believe that all of us have had to make our own opportunities in the midst that we can't practice as a team together, that we also have to congregate together just to have that bond to be able to last throughout a game and throughout a season. And that's, I believe, really vital to our success is just making sure that you stay with your teammates, making sure that you keep them accountable, and it's easy to lay away from everything that you're taught, and it's easy to forget all the things that you're taught. But I believe that just making as many opportunities as given your way is a very important lesson to just draw away from this crisis, I believe.
Like Bernard said, don't take things for granted, and we cherish those moments. And like when the pandemic shut down, everything shut down, we got a few friends, went out to the field, and we just keep working, start working until the football season actually come up, and we hoping for a season. And so everybody just keep working until we started, and then we just cherish those moments and don't take things for granted.
I think when the pandemic hit, it was a big heads up for everybody. It was like a self-check for me. I think it was a self-check for a lot of other people to make sure you're doing what you're doing when nobody's around. And that's what you had to do the whole time. So I think that was the biggest thing. It was a big self-check for everybody. Either play sports or not, I think that's the biggest thing.